It started out like any ordinary live stream. A young woman walking through the busy streets of Tokyo, phone in hand, casually chatting with her followers. She smiled, she read comments, she looked completely at ease. But what her viewers didn't know was that something was wrong. Someone was following her. And just minutes later, the stream would suddenly end. What they witnessed wasn't a prank or a technical issue. It was a real-life murder. This is the tragic and terrifying story of Eri Sato, a young influencer whose final moments were broadcast to the world. Eri wasn't a household name, but she had carved out her own place online. She was 22 years old, living in Tokyo and building a modest following through casual live streams. Most of her content was simple. She'd take nighttime walks, stop by convenience stores, talk to her fans, and show them a quiet slice of city life. She streamed from Shinjuku, one of Tokyo's busiest districts, where the streets are always lit, and there's a constant mix of locals, tourists, and nightlife. Her streams felt peaceful and authentic. There was no act, no filters, and people connected with that. But as her follower count grew, so did the number of people watching her for the wrong reasons. Among her regular viewers was a man in his 30s who had taken a strong interest in her streams. He first appeared as a fan, complimenting her content, and eventually started donating large sums of money. He said he believed in her and wanted to support her career. At one point, he claimed he had loaned her more than £13,000. Eri thanked him on stream a few times, but that was all. She never promised anything, and she didn't lead him on. Still, the man convinced himself that he was something more than a viewer. When she stopped replying to his messages, his behavior started to change. He became possessive, sending angry comments and growing frustrated by her silence. To him, it wasn't just content anymore. It was personal. Eri began noticing things that made her uncomfortable. The man started showing up in places she hadn't mentioned online. He would comment on details that suggested he was nearby, even when she hadn't said where she was. He mentioned what she was wearing, what direction she was walking, what store she passed. She started being more careful. She deleted older videos, stopped streaming from her usual locations, and became more private about her schedule. Friends later said she seemed anxious. She wasn't her usual self. But streaming was her job. It was how she paid her bills. And no matter how careful she was, she couldn't control who was watching. In July 2024, Eri went live again. She was walking through Shinjuku like she had done many times before. The city around her was buzzing, and the chat was active. She seemed calm, maybe even relaxed. As the stream went on, a few viewers began pointing something out. Someone appeared to be following her. In the distance, a man could be seen walking at the same pace, never too far behind. She didn't mention it. Maybe she didn't notice, or maybe she didn't want to cause alarm. Then suddenly the camera jolted. There was a loud sound, followed by what seemed like a struggle. Viewers heard Eri gasp, then everything went silent. The stream ended without warning. People watching didn't know what had just happened. They waited for her to come back online. She never did. Police arrived at the scene shortly after. They found Eri in a narrow alley not far from where she had last streamed. She had been stabbed several times. Her phone was lying nearby, damaged. The attacker didn't get far. He was arrested near the scene, still carrying the knife. During questioning, he told investigators that he felt betrayed. He believed Eri owed him something for the money and attention he had given her. He had built a fantasy around her, one where he was a part of her life. When that fantasy didn't become real, he decided to punish her for it. Eri never agreed to anything. She didn't lead him on. She was just trying to live her life and connect with people, and it cost her everything. Eri's death sent shockwaves through the online community in Japan. It was more than just a crime, it was a wake-up call. People watched her final moments live, powerless to help. The incident sparked conversations about safety for influencers and streamers, especially women. Many called for stronger protections and better reporting tools on platforms like Instagram and Line Live. But for Eri, none of those changes came in time. She was doing something millions of others do every day, streaming, walking, talking to followers, and she paid the ultimate price for it. Her story isn't just tragic, it's terrifying, because what happened to her could happen to anyone. Irie's case reminds us that online fame doesn't come with protection. Behind every username is a real person, and not all of them have good intentions. If this story shook you, you're not alone. There's more out there, stories just as real, just as disturbing. Subscribe to Creepy Realities for more true horror from the digital age, because sometimes the scariest things are the ones happening right now.